Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well. So I just wanted to take a little bit of time out from setting up the 240 litre Malawi aquarium behind me, just to talk to you about cycling an aquarium. So a lot of beginners in the hobby are always confused and sometimes misinformed about what cycling an aquarium means. So when you first set up an aquarium, your tank is effectively sterile. There is no life in there, there is no bacteria in there. And in aquariums, bacteria is very important in order to break down the waste that your aquarium is going to produce. So before we talk about the different ways you can cycle an aquarium, and I have done a video on this before, but I'm updating it in this one, we need to understand the aquarium nitrogen cycle. So the nitrogen cycle is when ammonia in the form of waste enters your aquarium. That ammonia needs to be broken down. And it gets broken down by a bacteria that converts it to nitrite. And then nitrite, another form of bacteria, will grow, and that nitrite will be broken down into nitrate, which you can use for your plants, for your aquarium plants, will consume that, or you remove it through water changes. Now, ammonia and nitrite are both toxic to fish. So it's very important that we take measures in order to ensure that those levels remain at zero. And in a cycled aquarium, ammonia and nitrite would be both at zero, and you would have a reading of nitrate at the end. Now, if you're an experienced hobbyist, if you've got multiple tanks, you can actually take media out of your filter, which from established tanks, and you can put it in your new filters, which will then establish your new aquarium for the life it's going to have. Now, if it's your first tank, you won't necessarily have this option. Now, there are a few things you can do. If you've got a friend who's got a filter, they might give you some media. You could ask at your local fish shop. Sometimes they will give you some media as well, just to help that cycle establish itself. And when we say help the cycle establish itself, what we're really talking about is ensuring that there are bacteria present in your aquarium to break down that waste. So I've done various different types over the years of being in the hobby, and some things remain the same and some things have changed. So when I was first in the hobby, it was very much get some cycled media or add some fish to the tank, known as a fish-in cycle, leave it a few weeks, add some more fish, and gradually build up the bacteria colony that way. Now, the problem with doing this is that you are going to expose your fish to ammonia and nitrite, which are going to be harmful and will certainly reduce the life of the fish. And that is considered cruel, and it's not a very nice thing to do to your fish, really. But there are products which exist today which will enable you to add fish right from the beginning and ensure that the bacteria is growing, and at the same time you are making sure that the ammonia and nitrite, which is going to build up in the tank, are not going to be harmful to your fish. The reason I'm telling you this is because this is the way that I now cycle aquariums. So I do have established aquariums, and I am able to take filter media and put them into the new filters. But with this tank behind me, I wanted to sort of demonstrate that it can be done. So what I've done with this tank is I've used two products, and I've added a small amount of fish that have been in this tank for 2 weeks. And this tank is 80% cycled, and what I mean by that is that there is zero ammonia in there, and there is a little bit of nitrite. I'm just waiting for that to calm down before I can go and add some more fish to it. So before we go any further, the first thing you're going to need is a test kit. This is the most important thing that you're going to have, really, if you're keeping fish. So this test kit, this is the API one. I think this is the best one you can get, and this is going to test for ammonia, nitrite, nitrate, pH, high range pH, and this is really going to be everything you need if this is your first aquarium. So the very first thing you want to do once you've set up your tank like this one behind me is that you want to test your tap water. Now, a lot of people overlook this part, and I would always say that this is the most crucial part of starting the aquarium cycle. And the reason it's important is because if you're testing your tank water once the cycle is establishing itself, if you don't know what your tap water is, or your well water, whatever your source water might be, you're not going to know the progress that your tank is making in terms of its cycle. So get some tap water, test the ammonia, test the nitrite, test the nitrate, test the pH, write it down somewhere and put it to one side, and that's going to be absolutely fine. The very next thing you're going to want to do is get yourself 2 products. Now, there are a couple now. I'm in the UK, so there's a couple that you can use. So what I've used on this tank here is I've used these 2 products from NT Labs. So this is Optimus and Satus. Now, Optimus is a water conditioner which removes chlorines, chloramines, heavy metals from your tap water, but it also detoxifies ammonia, nitrite and nitrate. This one, Satus, this is your beneficial bacteria, and this is going to introduce the bacteria needed for your aquarium to be healthy and for your fish to be healthy. So, but the very important thing about these 2 products is when you use them together, very powerful. So once you've tested your tap water, and we've put that to one side and we've written that down, you're going to fill your tank up and you're going to leave it a few days. Now, a lot of people think that if you leave your tank for 2 or 3 weeks and then put fish in, then your tank is cycled. This isn't the case. Bacteria will not grow in your aquarium unless you have fish in there or a source of waste. The way that I think is easiest to do it for beginners now is to use fish to do this. But by using these products, you can do it in a safe way. Now, in this tank here, which is 240 litres, I've used 6 fish, which are around sort of that big per fish. Obviously, if you've got a smaller tank, you want to have smaller fish, but I would say go with about 5 or 6 fish, no matter what size your tank is, and that's a good starting point. So we're going to get the fish from the fish shop, we're going to put them in the tank, and the very first thing you're going to want to do is add Satus. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is the first thing you should want to do is because once you've added the fish, you use this one. This should have already been dosed to your tank before you put the fish in. So as soon as your tank's filled, you add this one. So we put the fish in and then we add Satus, and the instructions are on the bottle here, which tells you to dose it for 7 days. While that is being dosed for 7 days, you're going to want to test your water in the tank every single day using your API Freshwater Master Test Kit. So what I would say is don't worry about nitrates, don't worry about pH, we don't really need to test those at this point, but you do want to test ammonia and nitrite every single day. If you see a reading of ammonia or nitrite, then what you need to do is you need to add Optimus. Well, what this will do is will detoxify the ammonia and nitrite in the tank, but it'll still leave it available for your bacteria to consume as food. The more food your bacteria get at the early stage, the quicker your tank is going to cycle, and the quicker you can have a full complement of fish, which is ultimately what you're trying to achieve with any aquarium. So we're going to do this for 7 days. So we're going to test the water every day. If we see ammonia or nitrite, we're going to add Optimus. After 7 days, you want to do a big water change. So I would say about 50% water change. That's going to dilute any remaining waste that might be in the aquarium. And then we're going to start the process again. Now, in my experience using these 2 products, it takes anywhere between a week to 2 weeks to complete a full cycle. The reason why I'm saying to not do a water change is because historically and traditionally, people who are doing fishing cycles would water change every single day in order to keep their fish safe. But this takes a very long time to establish a cycle, especially because each time you do that, you're removing that waste. So you definitely want to use these 2 products to do it. And this is the way I would do it today. And like I said, I've done it in this tank to show you that it is possible to do it. If you can't get NT Labs Optimus and Satus, which I'm not entirely sure about its availability, but I do know that the other 2 you can use is Thechem Prime and Stability. Now these are going to do exactly the same thing. So Prime is your dechlorinator, which is also going to detoxify your ammonia, nitrite, nitrate, and Stability is your beneficial bacteria. Now the dosage of these is very similar to the NT Labs. It's very similar to the NT Labs in terms of you dose them for 7 days, but you can dose them longer. Now, the reason why I think that this is the best way for any beginner now to cycle a new aquarium is for 2 reasons. Really. The first one is that if you do overstock your tank a little bit, these products are going to allow you to get away with a lot of the issues which present themselves from overstocking, such as a waste building up too fast. The other thing is it's going to be a little bit more forgiving if you put a little bit too much food in there. So again, while there's fish in your tank and while you're doing the cycle, always feed as sparingly as you can, possibly every other day while you do this, just to ensure that that waste isn't building up too fast. But like I say, is that if you notice that the ammonia reading is particularly high or the nitrite reading is particularly high, you can actually overdose the dechlorinator in order to detoxify those waste levels. And that's it really. That is what I think is the best way of cycling a tank today. There's lots of videos, lots of other people that are doing it this way, and I found it to be the most effective. I have used it 2 or 3 times now. The very first time I did it, I had issues with it because what you may find is you may find that the dechlorinator can interfere with your ammonia test. So it can give you a reading of ammonia when your tank is cycled. However, more recently when I've done it, I haven't noticed that. So whether they've changed something in the ingredients, I'm not too sure, but I'm not noticing that it has any effect on that now. I do get a very clear reading. So anyway, I hope that's helped some of you. I hope it's helped beginners amongst you, and I hope it's also helped you if you're looking for new ways of doing things really. I like to learn all the time. I know my viewers like to learn different things as well, and I'm happy to share different ways that I do things. At the end of the day, this hobby is there for us all to enjoy and find the easiest ways of managing the process. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I will see you on the next one. Bye for now.